The genesis of life on Earth, creation or self-emerged. The exact process of how the first cell appeared on Earth is still a topic of ongoing research and debate among scientists. However, scientists have proposed several hypotheses to explain the emergence of the first cell. Abiogenesis. One of the most popular hypotheses is the abiogenesis theory, which proposes that the first cell emerged from non-living matter through a gradual process of chemical evolution. According to this theory, simple organic molecules, such as amino acids and nucleotides, formed through natural processes on the early Earth, and eventually came together to form more complex molecules and eventually proto-cells. These proto-cells would have been the first living organisms, and over time, they would have evolved into the diverse array of life forms we see today. One of the most popular hypotheses for abiogenesis is the primordial soup theory. This theory proposes that life on Earth began in a warm, nutrient-rich soup of organic molecules. Scientists believe that lightning and ultraviolet radiation could have provided the energy needed to create these molecules from simple inorganic compounds, such as water and methane. The soup would have then served as a suitable environment for the formation of more complex molecules, such as amino acids and nucleotides, which are the building blocks of proteins and nucleic acids. Eventually, these molecules could have come together to form the first living organisms. Another hypothesis is the panspermia theory, which proposes that life on Earth was brought to the planet by comets or meteorites that contain microorganisms or the building blocks of life. This theory is supported by the fact that microbial life has been discovered in some of the most inhospitable places on Earth, such as deep-sea hydrothermal vents, and recent discoveries of organic molecules and water on other celestial bodies in our solar system. There are also other hypotheses such as RNA world that proposes that life began with the emergence of RNA, a molecule that has the ability to both store genetic information and catalyze chemical reactions. Scientists believe that RNA could have been the first self-replicating molecule and that it could have been the precursor to DNA and proteins, which are the building blocks of all living organisms. RNA is a molecule that has several unique properties that make it a suitable candidate for the role of the first self-replicating molecule. RNA can store genetic information, like DNA, and it can also catalyze chemical reactions, like proteins. This means that RNA can both carry the instructions for its own replication and carry out the process of replication. Scientists believe that in the early Earth, the conditions were favorable for the formation of simple RNA molecules through natural processes such as lightning and ultraviolet radiation. These RNA molecules would have then undergone a process of natural selection, where the molecules that were better able to replicate and survive would have passed on their genetic information to future generations. Over time, these RNA molecules would have evolved into more complex molecules, eventually leading to the emergence of the first living organisms. The exact process of how the first RNA emerged on Earth is still a topic of ongoing research and debate among scientists. However, several hypotheses have been proposed to explain the emergence of the first RNA. One of the most popular hypotheses is the prebiotic synthesis hypothesis. According to this theory, the first RNA molecules formed through a gradual process of chemical evolution on the early Earth. Scientists believe that the building blocks of RNA, such as nucleotides, could have formed through natural processes such as lightning, ultraviolet radiation, and hydrothermal reactions. These nucleotides could have then come together to form simple RNA molecules. Another hypothesis is the metabolism first hypothesis. According to this theory, the first RNA molecules formed as a byproduct of an earlier metabolic system. Scientists believe that an early metabolic system could have produced nucleotides as a byproduct, and these nucleotides could have then assembled into simple RNA molecules. The panspermia hypothesis also proposes that RNA or its building blocks could have been brought to Earth by comets or meteorites. The comets or meteorites that hit the Earth could have brought pre-existing RNA or its building blocks, and the RNA would have then begun to replicate and evolve. It is thought that RNA, or its building blocks, could have formed in interstellar space. Scientists believe that the conditions in interstellar space, such as the presence of water, methane, and other simple organic molecules, along with the presence of ultraviolet radiation and high-energy cosmic rays, would have been favorable for the formation of RNA or its building blocks. Research has shown that in laboratory simulations, when simple organic molecules such as formaldehyde and hydrogen cyanide are exposed to ultraviolet light, they can produce molecules that are precursors to RNA such as amino acids and nucleotides. Additionally, some studies suggest that certain types of cosmic rays, such as high-energy protons, can react with these organic molecules and produce even more complex molecules. These complex molecules could potentially form the building blocks of RNA, such as nucleotides. It's worth noting that this is still a topic of ongoing research and debate among scientists, and the exact process and conditions that led to the formation of RNA in interstellar space is not fully understood. However, the idea that RNA or its building blocks could have formed in interstellar space and then been transported to the early Earth on comets or meteorites is consistent with the panspermia hypothesis of the origin of life on Earth. The RNA world hypothesis also suggests that RNA was eventually replaced by DNA as the genetic material in living organisms because DNA is more stable and resistant to degradation than RNA. Additionally, RNA is less efficient as a catalyst of chemical reactions than proteins, and eventually, enzymes made of proteins would have taken over the role of catalyzing reactions in cells. What about the creationism perspective? Creationism is the belief that the universe, Earth, and all life on it were created by a supernatural being. While this belief is held by many people, it is not considered a scientific theory because it cannot be tested or falsified through observation and experimentation. One of the main flaws in creationist logic is that it relies on faith rather than evidence. Scientific theories, on the other hand, are based on evidence and are subject to testing and falsification. Creationism cannot be tested or falsified, so it cannot be considered a scientific theory. Another flaw in creationist logic is that it cannot explain the diversity of life on Earth or the complexity of living organisms. Creationism cannot explain the diversity and complexity of life on Earth because it relies on the idea that all life forms were created in their current forms by a supernatural being, rather than evolving through natural processes. The theory of evolution, on the other hand, provides a comprehensive and evidence-based explanation for the diversity and complexity of life on Earth. Evolution through natural selection proposes that all living organisms are related through common ancestry and that over time, genetic variations that provide an advantage for survival and reproduction are passed on to future generations, leading to the diversity of life we see today. The complexity of life can be explained through the gradual accumulation of small genetic changes over many generations. Creationism also does not provide a mechanism for the development of new species, and it cannot account for the many transitional forms and extinct species that are found in the fossil record. The theory of evolution, however, can explain how species diverge and adapt to different environments through natural selection, and how some eventually become extinct while others give rise to new species. Additionally, creationism relies on the existence of a supernatural creator, which is not a testable or falsifiable concept and cannot be proven or disproven through scientific means. Science is limited to natural explanation and doesn't have the means to prove or disprove supernatural claims. Conclusion. In conclusion, the exact process of how the first cell appeared on Earth is still a topic of ongoing research and debate among scientists. However, scientists have proposed several hypotheses such as abiogenesis, panspermia and RNA world, to explain the emergence of the first cell. Each hypothesis offers a unique perspective on the conditions and processes that may have led to the emergence of the first cell, and scientists continue to explore and test these ideas in order to gain a deeper understanding of this mysterious and fascinating topic.